Welcome back. UFC 307 recap. We're going to be recapping all the fights, any little tidbits, interesting things that happened during the fights or around the fights. About to start off with no further ado. Is there anything that I wanted to talk about? Actually, well, we can say first off, people might have already said this a bit, but the fights were, the card as a whole was pretty fucking mid. Might even be the lows. Like, it was a shame. The main event, Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. made up for it. You know, it was a good finisher, a good way to end the card, good main event. But the card itself was slow. It just seemed there was a whole boring, dampening aura kind of around these fights. It might have been the altitude. I don't really know what it was, but just like, I just didn't find these fights as enjoyable, as action-packed, as hyped up as they maybe should have been. Also, the Smoky Hours live stream wasn't as popping this time. You know, it still was popping. Occasionally had a dude come in here and there. Also, I made a major mistake. I somehow streamed for multiple hours without realizing the audio was off because I didn't check. But that's my problem and not yours. Shout out to everyone who did pull up. The main event, like I said, was fire. Everything else, pretty fucking mids. Starting off with the early prelim opener of Tim Means versus Court McGee. Now, this one actually got blessed in the sense of, since it was the early prelim opener, if there's a finish, which there was, Court McGee got a round one submission, that's valid. That was valid for Court McGee. That was valid. It's always good to start off the card that way. It was a neck crank, I believe. It wasn't even a rear naked choke. I think Court McGee just cranked the neck of Tim Means and got the tap in round number one. And Court McGee looked actually pretty good. Court McGee was getting touched up occasionally by Tim Means, but he was actually landing his own combinations on Tim Means as well right before the submission happened. Got a nice little takedown. It worked out. We move on. That was a nice little underdog pick to get the card started. Moving on to Ovince St. Preux versus Ryan Spann. Now, this was the logical pick. Ryan Spann did get a win. He did get the first round finish. But what surprised me, and I'm sure it surprised other people, was the submission. And that was actually kind of a killer. Like, you know, like that's when you win. That's when the dude you picked wins. But it happened in such a way that everyone's parlay got smoked. Fuck it, though. Ryan Spann gets it done by round one submission via guillotine choke. I believe it was a guillotine. And it was tight. It was a very tight guillotine. Ovince St. Preux fell over. It ended up being a mounted guillotine. Ryan Spann gets it done, gets the finish in round number one. Ovince St. Preux looked a bit all over the place. Looked like a 41-year-old fighter with a 15-12 record in the UFC. Looked very much like that. Ryan Spann looked good, looked a little slimmer than usual, but still looked strong. And he did everything right this time. He did the smart thing this time, at least. Good job for Ryan Spann, man. A good win. Ovince St. Preux, it's been over, but now it's just looking spooky. Moving on. Carla Esparza versus Tisha Pennington. I'm going to say it. I haven't rewatched the fight. I know other people thought the same thing. Now, we might have just been biased because of the pick, because of Carla Esparza, but I think Joe thought the same thing. Joe Rogan thought the same thing as me. I thought Carla Esparza won. I thought Carla Esparza low-key got robbed, actually, here. I thought Carla Esparza decisively won round one. It didn't seem that way until I saw the actual end of the round. I thought at first, okay, you know, Carla laid on her a little bit. I don't know if that's good. She got a couple elbows, a couple single shots in there of ground and pound. And I didn't know if that would be enough. I was like, that's enough to make it competitive and robbable in that sense, the first round. But when I saw Tisha get up, she had damage. The little ground and pound actually damaged her. I think that gives Carla Esparza the round. It doesn't fucking matter if Tisha Pennington outstruck her on the feet. She got taken down and out damaged. That's what should count, right? It's damage, right? The second round, I thought, I was like, all right, shit, it's spooky hours. The second and third round were both spooky. If I remember correctly, I think actually the second round was better for Tisha. That was a lot more favorable to Tisha, even though I think that it was still very competitive. In the third round, I thought Carla maybe won. Maybe it was also very competitive. But either way, I thought Carla Esparza won that fight. The judges did not. And so Carla Esparza retires on a loss. Very, very sad, very tragic. That's how a lot of people will retire, you know. We saw it. Who was it? I think it was Matt Schnell. Literally a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I think he got knocked out. Something happened. He lost his fight and fucking retired. Retired and walked out crying. And that's a shame. That's how it is. Thank you, Carla Esparza, for all the entertainment, for all the good fights. Thank you very much. We move on to Alexander Hernandez versus Austin Hubbard. Man, am I tweaking out? For some reason, I can't remember who won this fight. I think Alexander Hernandez won the fight. I think he won the fight. Let me just check on Tabology super quick. Jesus Christ, I don't even know how that's happening. While we wait, in the meantime, though, Alexander Hernandez actually looked good to me. He came out. He didn't gas after 7.5 minutes. He didn't gas after 7.5 minutes. He started to, but he didn't fully gas, which was great. This fight I was kind of tuning in and out of. I'm not going to lie. I only saw a little bit of it. I watched it in its entirety, but I would look away for tens of seconds at a time. Sometimes 30 seconds at a time. I think I saw Alexander Hernandez get his hand raised. I'm not going to lie. I think I remember that being the case. That might not have been the case. But I think that was the case. And we'll see right now. Ultimate Fighting Championship. UFC 307. Pereira versus Roundtree at the Delta Center. And who won? I think it was Alexander Hernandez. But wait, am I going crazy? I wrote that, I had that fight down as fourth, but I guess they ran the Ihor Potieria fight fourth. So either way, Alexander Hernandez versus Austin Hubbard. Alexander Hernandez did get that one done by decision, right? It was by decision. I thought he was going to get it done, if anything, by round 1 KO, TKO. I thought he would catch Austin Hubbard. Austin Hubbard stayed around, man. He was getting hit. He was getting beaten. I don't actually remember much of that. Not much of it, but again, I was in and out of that fight. Split decision win for Alexander Hernandez. We move on. We did good to start off the card, honestly. It would have been better without the tweaky scoring, because we would have been 4 for 4 on the early prelims, but Carlos Esparza got robbed. Either way, we move on to this was not the 5th fight. This was the 4th fight, actually, chronologically, when they actually ran the event. But either way, number 5, Ihor Potieria versus Cesar Almeida. Now, this fight kind of broke me, man. I really wanted Ihor to win. I thought Ihor could actually win, and surprisingly enough, by decision. Not by getting like a fluke finish in the beginning. By decision. Please tell me the audio was not fucking fried this entire time. By decision. And Ihor actually looked good at some times. He was catching Cesar Almeida with his own strikes. He was getting outstruck a bit, I'll say. It's just kind of because of Ihor's style. Keeps his hands down, gets a little sloppier. And there was still a chance for Ihor, especially round 2. Even though round 2 ended badly, it started off the best for Ihor. I thought if there was going to be any grappling, Ihor would be a better grappler than Cesar, but Cesar was able to keep him at bay and then actually maintain dominant positions when he ended up in them. And it was a tough loss for Ihor Potieria, man. Ihor gassed out, got held down, got beaten up a little bit. It was rough. Not the worst loss, but with that loss, it moves him to 2-5 in the UFC. We might not see Ihor again. And I think that's a shame because Ihor Potieria is a dude that I really like. He always puts on exciting fights. This was not the most exciting fight, but again, I blame that on the altitude. And Cesar Almeida will get his. He's going to get his. If you're thinking, Cesar Almeida, he's the next one, he's my low-key, he's my sneaky little dog, like, dog pick. No one knows about him. He's my personal weapon. Just wait. Just wait. Someone's coming to violate Cesar. Someone's coming to violate him. Fight number 6, Marina Rodriguez versus Yasmin Lucindo. Now, actually, I was starting to think at the last moment, I was like, damn, I tweaked out. I tweaked the fuck out. I should have went with Marina. Marina's going to KO fucking Yasmin. Thank God that did not happen, though. And Yasmin, to her credit, actually was able to rally, not just succumb to the strikes, not get fucking chinned by Marina Rodriguez, who actually is a deadly striker, specifically with her hands. She has very sneaky, deceptive power in her hands. You can see that she's swinging hard shots, swinging very fast, crisp shots with the hands, but when they touch you, it's actually a little different too. Somehow in the later rounds also, Marina Rodriguez got sliced the fuck open by something, was leaking everywhere. She lost. Yasmin wins that one by decision. I didn't officially switch on the pick, so that was good. We move on to what was actually kind of spooky hours and a little bit painful to watch. A little bit of a heartbreaker here. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Joaquin Buckley. Now, at first, Stephen Thompson was about to bust people's parlays, about to fuck up everyone's picks, because he was putting a pace on Joaquin Buckley. And like I said, in the prediction video, you can't count out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to actually win by decision, literally, via keeping the range, being able to maintain range and maintain better timing than his opponent. And that's actually what was happening for the first 2 rounds of the fight. For the majority of the time, he had Joaquin Buckley's timing down. He would clip him 2 or 3 times as Buckley came in to deliver one big strike, and it was working. Stephen would get out of the way. Stephen was staying on his feet. He got taken for a ride off rip, but after that, it was under control pretty much. Joaquin was never able to like dominate or even get ahead decisively. It was very competitive, if not in the favor of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. However, it was in round 3, a little bit after halfway through. Joaquin Buckley finds that sweet shot, just cracks Stephen Thompson on the chin, sets him down. He's done. Joaquin Buckley wins by KO TKO. It was rough. Stephen Thompson got knocked out. It was a bit of a flash knockout. He didn't go unconscious and was laying there for minutes, but he went down and had trouble standing back up. It was rough, man. Great fight from both dudes. Fantastic fight from both dudes, actually. I wonder if anyone got a bonus for that one, just because both of these guys have names. They might have, actually. They might have. Oh, Joaquin Buckley got a Performance of the Night bonus for that. Okay. We can live with that. We can live with that. That was heartbreaking, but what happened next was even more tragic than what really just happened with Stephen Thompson getting knocked out. Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. Kevin the Trailblazer Holland, a.k.a. Big Mouth. Damn, man, that's a shame. I thought Kevin was going to win this fight. I picked Kevin to win this fight. Roman Dolidze really didn't do anything to aggravate. He didn't do anything that was like the catalyst of this injury. Ultimately, this fight ended by KO TKO via injury. I think Kevin Holland ended up breaking a rib. I don't know if he officially broke a rib, but that's what everyone was saying, that he broke a rib. Kevin Holland and Roman Dolidze end up on the ground. They are grappling. Kevin tries to roll over, and they were saying he was trying to roll over to cinch up an armbar, or at least look for an armbar, and that actually looked like what was happening as well. But just when he was rolling over his ribs and his shoulder, I think it was his left or right shoulder, on the side of the rib that got injured, the rib cage that got injured, he just started yelling out, opened his mouth in pain, started reacting. He got hurt. You could see that he got actually hurt. He got injured in some way, shape, or form. And it was so fucking bad because Kevin obviously is still there. He didn't get hurt by Roman Dolidze. Not at all. Not at all. Kevin Holland, he knew how kind of grim the situation was. He knew how very real. Like, he knew the severity of reality right now. The reality was setting in. It might have been broken. His coach was like, yo, you got to tell me basically right now if you can fight. Like, are we going to continue or not? Like, you got to tell me. Like, Kevin didn't want... He knew that was the case. Like, Kevin knew he was done. He just didn't want to say it. He couldn't actually fucking say it. He was just like, motherfucker. He didn't say motherfucker, but he was like, goddamn. He was tight. He was tight as fuck. And rightfully so. Kevin Holland was very upset. More so upset at, I guess, his body. It wasn't Kevin Holland's spirit. It wasn't Kevin Holland's mind. It was his body that gave out in this fight. We see that happen a lot, and that's kind of what knockouts are, especially if you get knocked out to the body. You get dropped with a body shot. You might be there. You might not even realize what happened until you hit the ground. But Kevin Holland, for whatever rhyme or reason, his body just could not. It was not up to the task this time. A bit of a freak accident, a bit of a fluke, in my opinion. Roman Dolidze was celebrating like he just spinning back kicked fucking Kevin Holland to the ribs and snapped his shit up. That did not happen. Roman Dolidze, trust me, brother, you're getting yours too. You already got yours with the Nasruddin Imavov fight. You got yours. But it's coming back again. Trust. It's going to be so bad that you're going to go back to the prelims. Back to the prelims for Roman Dolidze. Kevin Holland, it's just a fucking shame now because Kevin Holland is becoming like an Ovince St. Preux. And he's not Ovince St. Preux, though. That's the thing. Kevin Holland becoming Ovince St. Preux in the fact that, one, you see him, he doesn't really give a fuck, or you think. This is what you think. You see him fight, you think, oh, damn, this dude just isn't dedicated to being the best. That's not saying that he's not dedicated to training. He's not dedicated to fighting, but he's not dedicated to becoming a champion. That's what we're saying here. That's what you might see if you watch Kevin Holland fight. And then, so you pick against him in a dude like, we'll say, Mikhail Jacek. Macau drops him. Macau is well on his way to finishing him. Then fucking Kevin Holland picks up a spectacular finish out of fucking nowhere, even though that one was a slightly bit controversial, a little bit dirty. Not dirty. Dirty on the UFC side. And then in his next fight, he goes out and just fucking gets injured. He gets KO TKO'd, not even on some real shit. It's just, it's fucked up, man. Like OSP. OSP, you pick against OSP, he one-shots whoever you pick. You pick OSP, he literally stands there like an old man and watches himself get knocked out from a 3 to 5 piece combination. Like, it's fucking over. It's fucking over. It might be over for Kevin Holland. Who knows? Getting injured like that, like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, spent too much time on that one. Roman Dolidze won by KO TKO via injury, I believe in round 2. Or no, it was in round 1. Okay. Yeah, at the end of round 1. In between round 1 and round 2, Kevin Holland could not continue. Moving on. Kayla Harrison versus Ketlen Vieira. Ketlen Vieira put up an insane fight. Made Kayla Harrison struggle a lot, actually. Cut her open, welted her up, gave her her own damage. Held her own, really. But Kayla Harrison did get that decision. I actually wasn't too tuned into that one. Again, I was doing something else, but that fight actually seemed good from what I saw. For being a plus 700 underdog in Ketlen Vieira, she did not fight like one. You know, she was getting her own licks in. Even though it was a unanimous decision for Kayla Harrison, still very nice to see, very nice to see. And now we're getting out of order here a little bit. The way I'm reading out these fights, I'm reading it from my fight predictions, and that's how the fights were announced. That's how the fucking fights were announced, so excuse me on that. Now we move on to Jose Aldo versus Mario Batista. Man, I picked Mario Batista. Mario Batista got it done. However, he did not get it done in the cleanest fashion, and he did not get it done in the way that anyone actually wanted to fucking see. He kind of copied, like I was saying in the prediction, really, he copied the Merab game plan. If we're at altitude and I just fucking spam takedowns, there's not going to be much around the fight to be judged. Like, you know, like, was it smart? Yes. Was it entertaining? No. Did it help Mario Batista in terms of popularity or gaining fans? Not at all. In fact, it might have had the opposite effect. I saw Mario Batista, a lot of people saying, send Mario Batista to PFL. Shit like that. Get Mario Batista the fuck up out of here. And I get it because he beat their boy. He beat Jose Aldo. I wasn't like tight like that. Like, it is what it is. It is what it is. No one's saying that about Khabib when Khabib smothers Conor. People aren't saying that shit, you know? Like, they were barely saying it when Merab fucking did it to Sean. Like, some people were saying it, but what you can't say is that Merab still isn't the champ after that performance. Ultimately, Mario Batista did what he felt he had to do to win the fight. Furthermore, Jose Aldo couldn't stop it. He could not stop it. He had the chance. It's not like Mario Batista was hiding, like, and then he snuck attack him and started shooting fucking takedowns, like, coming out of the dressing room. No, not at all. Like, they were in the cage. They knew what was happening. All that good stuff. Jose Aldo just doesn't take this one. Jose Aldo has struggled at elevation, especially at fucking 38 years old. You're going to struggle at elevation even more. That was really it. We did a lot of basing this pick off of past performances, but not only that, past performances at altitude for Jose Aldo. And it's not really the most impressive thing. Jose Aldo was the underdog in that fight, actually, by a teensy hair. But still, you know, that is what it is. Either way, moving on. That was the featured fight. Moving on to the co-main event of the evening, Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena. Now, again, I also thought that this one was a bit of a I thought Raquel won. I thought Raquel had the better strikes. Raquel was dropping Juliana Pena. Now, early on, Juliana was winning. Don't get me wrong. Juliana was winning. She got the takedowns, got a little bit of ground and pound in there. Fuck it, okay? We can say the first 2 rounds. But the last 3, at least, I thought Raquel did enough. That's when Raquel started to land at range, started to get these knockdowns. A whole bunch of shit. Juliana Pena somehow is the new UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion, though. She won by, I don't know if it was unanimous. It had to be split, yeah. Had to be a split decision. Congrats to Juliana Pena, man. I thought Raquel Pennington would do enough, but maybe they had to balance it out. One Pennington was already rewarded. Moving on to the main event, which was the barn burner fight of the night. It definitely was the fight of the night. It should have gotten fight of the night as well. And both men, I believe, got fight of the night. Yes, they did. Alex Poatan Pereira versus Khalil the Warhorse Roundtree Jr. or the Warhorse, Khalil Rountree Jr., I should say. Now, Khalil had been saying in the lead up to this fight, people were doubting him, not the majority of people, but people were doubting him. Khalil said every interview, every chance he got, he was like, I'm a stand and bang. I'm a stand and bang with Alex Pereira. I'm going to show you guys that this guy isn't like some monster. I can strike with him. I think I'm good enough to. I think I can knock this guy out. He was like, I'm not going to shoot. Maybe if shit gets crazy, I'll shoot just purely in self-defense and survival, but I'm not going to go shooting out there right off rip, shooting for takedowns. Khalil is a fucking man of his word. He stood his ground, looked Alex Pereira square in the eye, who's towering over him, by the way. Khalil is not a small man, but he's much shorter than Alex Pereira, at least. Khalil took some of Alex's best shots, and he tried to deliver his own, man. He was touching Alex Pereira. There was kind of like a pseudo knockdown. I don't know if it was ultimately a slip, because I heard some people say, that wasn't like a real knockdown looking back on it. Like, what had happened was, I'm pretty sure Alex Pereira, this had happened like twice on its own. Alex Pereira throws a head kick, and it literally clears Khalil Rountree. It doesn't even like, Khalil doesn't really dodge it. It just clears him. It literally goes over him. Now, maybe that was on purpose, because we've seen some head kicks land devastatingly when they just skim the top of the head, or they land on the crown, like they just they glance off there. Like, those sometimes are the ones that knock people the fuck out. However, Khalil was pretty much unfazed by it, and then he would try to blitz in, and he was finding success with the blitzes, especially early on. I'm not going to lie, I thought Khalil Rountree had won the first round of the fight. After the first round, I was like, Alex Pereira, he started to turn up at the end of round one, but Khalil was, from start to finish of round one, was taking it to Alex, landing on Alex, pressuring Alex, he would take shots back, but he took him back fine. It was fine. Round two, a lot more competitive. There's an argument there, at least, for Khalil Rountree. Now, rounds 3 and 4, obviously Khalil gets stopped in round number 4, but I thought Alex Pereira was going to knock him out in round number 2. A lot of people, I'm assuming, thought he was going to knock him out in round number 1. That's kind of the way this was looked at. But Khalil fought his heart out, man. Khalil almost had a Rocky fight, man. If Khalil went the distance, who the fuck knows? There might even be a new champ right now. But because we never saw round number 5. And the first 2 rounds were very competitive, with round 1, I think, decisively at least, going to Khalil. Round 2, there's an argument. We'll say the next 2 rounds, 3 and 4, Alex Pereira takes. Khalil maybe takes 5. And then he becomes the new. We don't know. We will never know, actually, at this point. Because in round number 4, Alex Pereira started to really land. In round number 3, he was landing a little bit more and more in here, getting the timing, getting the range down. Khalil was also slowing down, notably, because every time Khalil would swing, he would attack, engage, he would explode, man. Khalil would fucking explode. And it was surprising that he kept it up for that long. But again, Khalil started to fade slightly. Alex was tired himself, not saying like Alex was like some kind of like fucking stoic cardio machine, just ruthless, like a zombie always coming. Not at all. But Khalil started to get hit. In round 4, he started to get cut open from the strikes now. Heavy strikes, longer combinations coming from Alex Pereira, until eventually it was like a 3-piece combo that landed. I think it was 2 punches, maybe like a straight and then a hook, or maybe 2 hooks and a knee. It was finished off with a knee that backed up Khalil into the fence, and then there was real blood in the water. Alex Pereira turns it into a finishing sequence. Rocks Khalil a couple times with nasty hooks to the body, mean hooks to the body. And then I think 1 hook up top, like a right or left hook, 1 hook up top after like 2 or 3 hooks to the body, sits down Khalil Rountree. Not even sits him down. Khalil has to take a knee. He's forced to take a knee. Too much damage, too much punishment. The fight gets stopped right there. Brutal trauma, big trauma. Alex Pereira wins, and still, this ended up being one of Alex Pereira's hardest fucking fights in the UFC that we've seen. That wasn't to Izzy. Straight up. Straight up. That wasn't to a guy that already beat him and had experience fighting him. Khalil Rountree won a fuck ton of fans, I'm sure. Definitely got his name out there a lot more. And now Khalil is going to be one of those dudes with an extremely deceptive professional record at 13 wins and 6 losses. However, if you look at who he's lost to, they're good guys type shit. And 1 schmuck. Well, not schmuck, I take that back. But one guy that might surprise you in fucking, what's his name, the Polish rat, Marcin Prachnio, I think actually has a win over Was it Pratt? Actually, was it Prachnio or was it, what's his name? Oh, was it Tybura? One of the Marcines has a win over Khalil Roundtree Jr. from back in the day. Back in the UFC at least, not too much back in the day. But that was it, man. Alex Pereira retains the title in spectacular fashion. And that's the thing. With all the Alex Pereira fights as of late, not only have they been back-to-back, the dude's been active as a motherfucker. And he said he's going to take a little break now. He's earned that break. They've ended in spectacular fashion. The fights have been worth the hype, for that matter. So the main event was good. The main event, I almost want to say made it worth it. It really didn't. It didn't make up for all the fights. It was just a fantastic main event, so we could all go to sleep happy. But the other fights were pretty slow. You know, it was kind of a slog to get through them. It was weird. They felt like they were moving by fast and slow at the same time. It was just boring a little bit. I don't really know what to say. That's pretty much it for the recap. You know, decent overall. We can say like a 6 out of 10. This card was like a 6 out of 10. And a lot of the points at the end came from the main event, really. Without the main event, that shit might have been like a 4 out of 10. You know, if we get some other shit. If we had 2 fights that were like the co-main, that shit's like a 4, 3.5 out of 10. Not very good. Not a very good card. But main event was good. Made up for it as much as it could. The UFC will never, ever learn their fucking lesson about having fights in Salt Lake City, because it doesn't matter if you give these guys 3 months of prep time. People are human beings, man. And especially in an individual sport, like, that's the thing. If you're playing basketball, right, you go to Denver. You're in the NBA, you're playing the Nuggets. Maybe you're not training for the elevation, but ideally there's a couple fucking dudes on the team who actually give a shit and they are training, you know, and they can pick up the slack. When it's one-on-one, when it's single combat, we're talking about single combat here, some dudes don't give a fuck, some dudes don't take it seriously. Not don't take it seriously as in they're not training, but they don't take the elevation, the environmental impact of the fight seriously at all. Either way, I'm not going to rant on too much about that. That was pretty much it for the recap. Shout out to everyone that hopped into the stream. One of our boys, though, an OG of this channel, Mr. Benjamin Dover, a.k.a. Johnny Depp. Always hopping in. Thank you for hopping in at the end of the live stream, bro. You saved me. You brought me back to life, actually. Resurrected my spirit, because there were times where I was falling asleep. I was literally falling asleep on stream. I was not for minutes at a time, but I would, like, you know, I'd close my eyes and then be like, oh shit. Like, I was drifting off. I was nodding off. And it was just because the fights were just not as hyped. You know, also, like I said, the stream was slow, you know, and that partially was because of my fault, because I didn't have the audio on for some godforsaken reason. But anyways, that was it. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful Tuesday. This is actually a Tuesday type shit. I filmed this one late, this reaction late. I didn't even film the last Paris recap because I was just fucking busy and out of my mind. Busy and out of my mind. Both two things working against me on that one. Once I'm done with this, I'm literally finalizing the UFC Fight Night picks. Royval versus Taira. Brandon Raw Dog Royval versus Tetsuro Taira. That's a good one. That might be spooky. I still don't know who I'm going to pick. I look-y want to pick Royval, actually, because I can see Royval. Royval loves to throw that knee up the middle, and sometimes it actually catches people to devastating effect, and it might catch Tetsuro Taira. It might. Just on some, not fluke, but rare ending, rare knockout, rare finish. We're still looking through that. You can expect those picks, actually, later today. Those picks are going to come out today on Tuesday, maybe Tuesday night, maybe later tomorrow night. Maybe for a dude like Johnny Depp, a.k.a. Benjamin Dover, some of my UK fans, UK supporters, UK viewers, that might be a little later. Might come at an odd hour for you. Same thing with any other EU viewers. And that's it. Also, first episode of Spooky Hours coming very soon. 50 subscribers special. It's a meme. It's always on its way. But actually, that I took a little break on working on just because it's fucking me sitting there recording voice lines and shit. And also, I don't want it to be just a shitty generic iceberg video where I just read like one sentence. Or like some people do this for iceberg charts for movies. They'll just give the plot synopsis of the movie. And I'm like, what the fuck? Can you talk about it? Like, have you seen it? Like, you don't have to see every movie on an iceberg chart, you know, to talk about the chart, to cover the iceberg chart. But, like, I don't know, it's weird. Some people literally, they just do a plot synopsis and they move on. They don't really talk about it. I'd at least rather people let me know if they've seen it or not. I tried with the martial arts movie Iceberg, to only include movies that I have seen. There are movies that I've included that I have not seen, but I have a list of them, and I've been getting through them, been trying to watch them in my spare time. There might be a couple that by the time I record the lines for them, I still haven't watched, but I will mention that in the fucking video. Not just talk about it and pretend that I've seen it like some fucking rat. Either way, I digress. Was there anything else I really wanted to talk about with these fights? Not particularly. You can expect the video, like I said, Picks video coming out soon. Spooky Hours coming out later rather than sooner. And Smoky Hours. And the Mixed Martial Arts movie Iceberg. Not Mixed Martial Arts movie Iceberg. The Martial Arts movie Iceberg, aka the 50 subscriber special, is coming at the latest. Thanks for watching. As always, subscribe if you want to see more content. Smash the like button if you like the video. Smash that fucking dislike button if you dislike the video though. But let me know. Always hop in the comments. Always please leave me a comment. I always love reading the comments and I'll try to respond. You know, we can talk a little bit. As always, much love. Big kiss.